Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Doctors Are In. Boy, we are here tonight on this Veterans Day. To all you veterans that are watching, happy Veterans Day. We thank you. Thank God for the grace He's given you for times like these. Um, as
And
we
we
are,
and we thank you, sir.
I
We
appreciate
thank you.
that.
Your clam fam gave you a shout out today.
I
But
saw that. I said,
we
oh
thank you
boy.
so very much for your sacrifice, your service um, to a nation that is not so kind to your people, but to make
Lord
sure
Jesus.
that we were safe and secure from all alarm, and for your continued service to God's people. We thank you, sir. Uh, we don't know whether what it did was all good or whether what it did was all, we don't know what all of that did to our service people.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
right. That's true.
just being subject to the stringentness of it and the other stuff of it, and surviving that, and so we thank you. We thank our elder for his veteranism as being a liberator an emancipator for our people. We thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, this is where we are. Yeah, I look. The military gave me an opportunity to turn around and find my God.
Hmm.
If it wasn't for the military, I would not have found my God. But I found my God, and then it was made clear to me from the divine that there was a purpose yet I was to fulfill. So for me, it became a pathway to a deeper walk with the Creator. And I don't discount that. I'm grateful that I was given that experience, not always pleasant, but most certainly powerful. And I thank God for that. Tonight, our minds are stirred. And because there is still within all of us this cry, take me back. Remember that song? Remember the song that came by?
Take me back,
There you go, that one.
take me back, dear Lord, to the place where I first received you. Yeah, Andre Crouch. Take me back.
Take me back.
Oh, yeah, you saying something. Take me back, dear Lord, where I first believed. Yeah, that's where we
Yeah,
need to go back to where we first believed.
where we first believed.
Yes, sir.
And
And it wasn't
so
at the cross.
oh no,
Oh,
it was not at the cross. We didn't believe at the Lord Jesus. Now you just started something. We didn't believe at the lynching post, but our relationship with God came prior to the lynching post. And the thing about it is that we came over here with something, and obviously systematically what we had spirit from in terms of spirituality was kind of divided out of us,
mhm.
you know sort of like what Dr. Brown had said earlier about the West and East and how they see things. We live in a divided state of existence, a divided consciousness. And so the poison of that, we got exposed to that when we came over on the slave trade, that we saw God as one. And then we were given this dualistic viewpoint, which in even a lot of our Christian theology has a lot of dualism in it, which is really
Absolutely.
Plato and all these other stuff there. But you, you know, all of this becomes problematic when it comes to relating to spirituality. Well, we as a people have got to find some way
Yeah.
to get back to what we embodied, to what we experienced, to what to the way we lived prior to coming to the Americas. What was our spirituality? Remember, we had a language and we understood the sound and the rhythm and the vibration
Yeah.
differently then than we have today. We understood that when we came over, but then we were divided to where now I don't know the people, but there was something that we all had in common, whether we came from Ghana, whether we came from Nigeria, whether we came from any of those places, that there was a deeper connection that through sound and through rhythm, and so through spirituality. So yeah, we may have a different tribe, but pretty much people of the African diaspora related to God the same way. Then we were forced to try to believe God a certain way when we got here. And that became problematic for us as a culture. So if we're going to find the liberation that we're looking for, if we're going to find the liberation that we're yearning for, if we're going to find the liberation that we're thirsty for, we've got to go back to where we either got off by default or got off by choice. What was it like for us to be one with God in nature? You talk about being one with God in nature in certain Christian camps around here, they're going to look at you with that funny eye.
That's right.
They're not ready to accept being one with God in nature because why? It's a different sound to the Western ear. But to our African ears, it is a reconciling reality.
Yeah.
It brings us in tune with the divine and also with creation. We got to get back. So the process, we're going to look at the process tonight of getting back. Now, let me say this, and then I'm going to toss it on. Getting back, and I really, really, truly like the definition that you put out, Bishop, about repentance is to go back to the place where you got off track.
Yeah.
Even in some of the cases of our people, we were driven off track. You follow me?
God knows.
And we eat the same the same fruit of having been driven off track as one that's willfully and got off track. In both cases, whether I was driven or whether I was willful, we need to find that place back to where we got off at. And I believe that place back is this acknowledgement of what African spirituality looks like and try to look at those features, that we're going to look at tonight. So anyway, I just want to put that out there, that whether we did it by default or whether it's done by design, we still need to go back and reconnect with the way things were spiritually for us in order for us to thrive and flourish, even in times like these. Dr. Brown, you want to add anything to my opening remarks? Or
I'll just say this: as I was listening to that song, that my sister hit it. I mean, she hit it right on back, right on target. Take me back to where I belong. And the only way I could give a response to that, somebody say, when you ask the Lord to take you back, what does that mean, Tom Brown? Lord, take me back to your love.
take me back to your love. Okay.
Your love, take me back to your love. And when I can come to the self-realization that I'm a being of love. And then when I'm a being of love, how I manifestate my beingness, I can manifest it in what do I say to Bishop Hyman? She's like a sister to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would dare not say, well, I could say it, and she'd look at me like I'm crazy. I said, she's like a daughter to me. And then I could say a woman who's married that fancies my eye. Well, she's like a sister. And see, love being manifests its ethics, its values, its behavior according to its being. When I look at Steve Gardner, he's like a brother to me, and I will treat him as a brother. Or I could treat him as a son. He probably said I'd treat him as everything else but uh, all of it. But the whole state of beingness of love clarifies for me, even when I look at an enemy, and
Hmm.
I've seen a lot of them, I still see them as beings of God's creation of love. So consequently, when I'm confronted, particularly coming out of what you all know as the liberation movement, yeah, I'm an advocate of nonviolence. But at the same time, I learned that being an advocate of nonviolence being was to cultivate and develop a consciousness to avoid violence that would make me have to be reactive in a violent way. I mean, that's a whole nother description of teachings that's not provided in a Western world that makes money off of killing, makes money
Oh
off of
God,
violence, makes money
Jesus.
off of division, makes money off of oppression. Of course, you know my background, and my intensive determination was to somewhat abandon my presence and go to other parts of the world where violence was not as popular as it is in a competitive, capitalistic, imperialistic society called the Western world. That's enough for me talking. I want to learn from you all. I'm listening, I'm learning.
Well, they say that teachers, the greatest teachers are the ones that can sit and learn. You know, and every time that I come to this venue, I take away something too, Doc.
That's right.
Look, ain't none of us here know it all, but look, the collective here and the collective energy. Oh no, I mean that in itself just opens up portals, pathways of revelation. The responses from the people, that from the audience,
That's right.
all of that is part of our learning together, and we're learning together on how to get back over to the other side, regroup, recapture, redefine, reconcile, reconstruct, and then we're ready. Let me say this. Having said that, this path back is a inner path, okay? And this path is an inner path, and it looks very similar. The best descriptor we have for it is the prodigal son. And most of us, we've been taught, and I preached this a long time ago till I gained it, my eyes became open to there's an inner connection with the prodigal in the fact that we, from the external standpoint, he left his father, went his own way, and as a result, he came to himself and then he went back to his father. That's also sort of like what we have to do inwardly here. That because there's been a departure from our African spirituality, where our source, the parent of all creation, had us. And by default, we found ourselves heading to the pig farm and the pigsty. And now that we've gotten down here, see, this is part of this wake up call. There is a cosmic wake up call that's occurring right now. We're all in the hog pen right here. And as a result of that, Doc, we are coming to ourselves. An epiphany is happening within, where we're coming to ourselves. We're realizing that, look, what I've been eating it ain't nothing but corn husk. It brings no more satisfaction. And then there's this inner desire to connect back to the source. And the moment that the prodigal turned around, the father was there. What's my point? The moment we turn around, he's right there. She's right there. It's right there. Whatever pronoun you want to put there, you don't have to put one there. When you turn around, the divine is waiting to welcome you as if you never left. There's a catch up that happens when we catch up to who we are. It's like we never left. Wait a minute. And it's time is redeemed. So some of the redemption of the time that has occurred because of the trauma of our people will happen when we once connect again with our African spirituality. Sancofa. Going back to recover so that we can be made one again. One person put it this way, and I think both of you guys have heard it. The word atonement is broken down as at one ment. That's all that is. At one ment. Are we becoming one again? So we got to go back. We got to have this. We got to find our ways of becoming beings of love. And that's where it begins. Bishop.
Yes.
Stir the pot.
Stir the pot. The pot stirrer sitting beside you.
Oh, the one in the middle.
That's the pot stirrer. He got a reputation for stirring the pot. But thank you, Dr. Brown, Dr. Gardner. I would be delighted. I don't think it's some people would take that a little some kind of way. But as a love being, I could see, he says, I can see you as a sister. I can see you as a daughter. You're old enough.
That's right. She right. I got a daughter older than she is.
Jesus, how old your daughter?
I got one that's hitting 60.
No, honey, I'm older than that.
Oh, you look like you're 50.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm a little older than your daughter, baby. I'll be 65 my next birthday. Praise Jesus. Praise Jesus. But he don't look be my daddy. He is just a few years behind my parents. And so in our Africanness, that is a term of endearment.
Yes.
To some of us, it's an insult. We understand sometimes the brethren would do that to us to reduce us to under them. But as a love being, he already told you, if I see a married woman or whatever, or I'm married or whatever, that's my sister. And because I am a love being, here's one, Allison. Because I'm a love being, I won't violate. I won't violate God's creation. I won't even violate my enemies. I may have to annihilate, but I won't violate. I won't violate. I won't violate principles. I won't violate laws. I won't violate. Here we go. I'm going to stir it. I won't violate my blackness. I won't violate my femininity as a woman. Neither will I violate with my masculinity as I carry that divine masculine energy. I'm not going to use it to violate. When you love being, you don't have to violate. When you are insecure and out of connection and out of alignment with truth in your creator, it necessitates oppression and violence. And
She's
so,
got the key word there, y'all. Catch what she said. LOVE. Let our violence end. And what she's saying, she's giving the V a energy. We violate ourselves.
that's right.
Consistently.
That's right.
We got to make
Yeah.
that in LOVE.
You know, there's something that you said there, um, and I don't know if you said it, and you said it that in acknowledging him as a father, that it was a term of endearment.
Yeah, that's part of our Africanness. He said, I can, I can regard or acknowledge Steve as a brother, uh, as a son, even as a son. Um, he said, even though I may treat like everything else, probably all of it, everything and all of this part of sonship. Uh, and so when we talked about him in a paternal role, he said, I don't like that because we understand what patriarchal,
Right.
that whole
Right.
patriarchal thing is. But in our regard, we can regard him as a patriarch, as a father, not looming over,
Hmm.
but arching around us with that
Okay.
circle of love.
Okay.
The arch don't have to be this way. The arch can be like the rest of the universe, circular
Right.
and secular.
Circular.
And so one of the weapons, um, yeah, one of the weapons that we use to violate ourselves, male and female, that we use to violate ourselves, black, brown, is the weapon of a Bible. It's a
Mm.
weapon of a theology that promotes patriarchy and white supremacy.
Right.
We have
Right.
used the weapon. They used the weapon on us because remember now, you started off saying um, that we were a collective, we were a sacred people, we were a spiritual people before the lynching post,
Yes.
before the lynching post in Rome,
Yes.
with the black Yeshua on it. We were with God and oneness with creation, oneness with the earth, the wind, the fire, oneness with one another. And so there was a mutual respect, even if you were from another tribe, if you were from another village, if you were from another nation, there was a mutual respect and acceptance. We had that post Bible, pre Bible,
Pre-Bible.
post Bible. This now has been used as a weapon and a theology built and constructed that has caused us to not only violate the earth, but to violate one another. And then, as we have internalized racism and internalized sexism and internalized classism and ageism and all of these other isms, as we have internalized oppression, now we use the same weapon that they use to colonize us, we use to suppress, oppress one another, ourselves, and especially our women. That is the disadvantage or the consequence of a male dominated concept of God. Those consequences are long standing and they are deeply profound psychologically, socially, spiritually, ecologically, and economically. The very
Mm.
structure of patriarchy itself mirrors a theological assumption that ultimate power, ultimate rank,
Hmm.
ultimate authority are all male. When the divine is imagined and conceived as exclusively masculine, that distortion cascades into every level of human
Exclusive.
relationship and self-understanding.
I like
So
that.
when
Exclusive.
when when that has cascaded and it has intoxicated and infected our self-concept and our self-understanding, then it is inevitable that we are going to continue to take the tools and weaponize who we are. We're going to violate our purpose, violate everything that's got a mother in front of it. If it's Mother Africa, we're going to rape it and pillage it and plunder it. If it's the motherland, we're going to rape it and rob it of its resources, of its minerals, of its ecology. We're going to rape and rob it. If it is Mother Earth, which carries the womb, we are going to rape and rob Mother Earth. We're going to make sure it gets no rest, no Shabbat, no nothing. We're going to master it and rape it and rob it. If it is Mother Nature, we're going to monk with Mother Nature until we're getting the cosmic clapbacks that we're getting right now. If it's the mother of your children, you're going to pillage and plunder and rape it. This male patriarchal concept of God, the distortion, the division. I want to turn this over to Dr. Brown. The dualism cascades into every level of the human existence, the human relationship, and self-understanding. Tell us about this dualism, Dr. Brown.
She has just described, this is me, this is Tom Brown. She has just described the demons of science. Science. That's the demon. That's the demon that's running what we call our world. Science. She described the demon of science.
Okay, break it down some more for us.
I'm not going no further.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, boy.
You know what today, ain't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about this dualism. Because
you described it, sis. you were describing it and did not tell us, and you just gave excellent narratives around the dualism. Come on.
define it. I'll do it that way. Define
Define dualism.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Is that better?
I know you have
Not
to
quite.
laugh at that. Dualism. Yeah. It's dividing. It's
Yes.
dividing. It's dividing. It's like we've done it very well. Feminism and masculinity in the divine consciousness of eternal pure love, they blend and they manifest.
Wow. Okay.
They manifest and they don't
They
manifest.
blend.
They blend, they're blended and they manifest. They manifest according to the rule of divine love. Divine love has an ethic that we let the science define us. Science is nothing but the devil.
Oh, wow. We let science define us.
Oh,
Wow.
I enjoy the book of Job and how he says, I'm going to and fro on earth.
Yeah.
We're loved beings from heaven. And the only way the demon masters us is on earth, based on a materialism, based on internal, externals, based on the sciences of our instincts or the sciences of our senses. We are supposed to control our senses, but we're slaves to our senses.
Okay.
What you smell, what you taste, what you see, what touches you, what makes you feel good. All of those are what? Your senses. Now, where is your spiritual consciousness of your soul? In India, we call it your Atma.
Mm-hmm. No, we've been taught not to have that. That's the devil. All right, respectfully, I know what that means when somebody put that in front of something. All right, Andre, let's see. I believe I am hearing that people want to turn around and go back to Egypt in the story already told and seen with Moses and his brother Aaron. Those ways, Greek and Egypt, Iraq, I don't know. No, that's not what we're saying at
No,
all.
we're not saying that at all.
We're not saying this go back as an oppressed people to an oppressor. All right. We're not even talking about the story of the Exodus. It's a story of the Exodus. We're talking about ancient Egypt of Africa as an African reality from whence many things that we say and do came from there. Much of it was stolen and rebranded by the Greeks, by the Romans, and then later the Brits. So no, we're not saying go back. Matter of fact, we're saying like Revelation say, come out of her. We're telling our people, come out of her. Okay, come out of this. So I don't know if you all want to address that. I'm really not sure of what that comment means. But the brothers may be able to do something with that. And understand that differently than I'm understanding it. But I wanted to put it up there. But no, that's not what we're doing. I'm not sure if
No.
you're saying you're hearing that people want to go back. It's not that. Understand that the story and the narrative is not necessarily the history and the land and the values and the principles that come out of it. Many people don't know, and it's heavily believed by certainly by African scholars and Egyptologists that even the Ten Commandments, um, um, the Torah, if you're Jewish or Hebrew, that they actually came out of the 42 common laws of Ma'at. All right, and Ma'at is the divine feminine. All right, but they were not restrictions. They were not I shall not, thou shall not, thou shall not. It's I did not violate. All right, most of those laws of Ma'at about I did not violate. I have not violated. So I don't know if you all want to touch that or not.
Well, we definitely go ahead, Dr. Brown. You
Yeah,
No,
see,
I
here's
was
the other part of this. I don't understand, and this is not our subject for tonight, so we're not gonna, uh,
okay?
yeah, enslavement under the other self-proclaimed gods.
no,
I don't understand what
Okay,
you're saying.
yeah, I'll let y'all have that.
Sorry, sir. I don't understand what you're saying.
no, I was saying I'm passing that to you, Steve Gardner, because you know my whole energy focuses outside of certain biblical narratives because how they have been uh, messed with when I was with
Oh,
my
that's a kind
sister,
word. I
uh,
mess with.
messed with over the 2 or 3 times she in the
Mhm.
past has indicated transliterations, translations, and that whole dynamic of how we're reading English words, and many of the English words are oppressive. I go back and look at how many words define from other cultures.
Hmm.
Africa is not the only place on this globe. We choose to move from there because of our ancestral heritage. But I interact with too many other cultures. Peru, it blows my mind when I'm in over in your country. Go up inside those Hopi caves, the native Indians. That is another history that reaches back 15,000 years. The biggest mistake I made in my life, I majored not in anthropology. They wasn't
Hmm.
even offering anthropology when I was going to college, particularly the HBCUs, because they probably figured out we'd have found the truth. That's
Absolutely, my school had it. Matter
yeah,
of fact, I had to take anthropology, cultural
yeah.
anthropology, but my first school was Virginia Commonwealth University. The other
See,
schools ain't have it.
yeah, I
Hmm.
am really a student now in anthropology.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Well, but just this thing always turns me sideways. Don't nobody know why why it turned me sideways.
Well,
Crazy.
We're waiting for you to reappear.
Ta-da, you got to go. See that? So you said, I said, poof. Uh, let's look at though. Let's get back on track here. Um, every week is one. uh, let's look at though what some of these consequences of a patriarchal view of God as God being distinctly only male. All right. Some of them we talked about a little bit of them last week, but some of them are gendered self alienation.
You're good. That's good. I just want to say one thing and then I'll shut up. When you emphasize very clearly with your energy of the patriarch of the male experience, guess what it is? It's war, it's killing, and it's destruction.
Jesus.
Now, I'm putting that there because that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I have not in my investigations and studies seen any kind of way my feminine forces of energy, whatever you want to call it, have encountered being violent, being killers, going to war, magnifying war, using war to justify beingness. I do not get none of that from my feminine energies.
My.
That part.
And we can trace it historically.
All the way to the very beginning.
Okay. We could trace it. There's a history wherever you see straight patriarchy. And patriarchy came out of hierarchy. And we know where
Killing.
the hierarchy came from.
Yeah.
All
Killing.
right. You'll see the violence, and you will see even the violent nature of Christianity.
Women wasn't trying to kill Jesus, if you want to go into that.
Oh no, no, you didn't.
Women didn't want to kind of kill pharaohs. Women wasn't trying to. Don't get me started in my anthropology.
Look, unless they was in the women king, they were
Woman,
warriors.
woman king. Yeah.
Yeah, woman king. Yeah, they were warriors. But and scripture actually, if you dig deeper, there are women warriors. Um, but we can trace that violence, and we can trace the violence even back to, as you said, the lynching post, the tree that we worship, the blood that we worship,
We worship
the
the tree.
gore that we worship, the injustice that we worship. And then we say, God did that. God did that. God is violent. God requires violence and blood to satisfy God's rage. So there's that. All right. So that's how far back we can trace this, and we'll trace it back further than that if we just can't. It's a history of violence, religious violence all over the world, and one of the most violent. You can look it up. One of the most violent religions from its inception to now, including wars, holy wars, and all of that, would be Christianity. All right. The patriarchal religions have a patriarchal God, all three of them. And all three of them are oppressive to women. Okay? All right. And all of them been whitewashed and colonized. So let's look at some of this. Um, let's look at some of the psychological consequences, since Dr. Brown likes to say I'm a psychologist. All right.
Yes.
Patriarchy, again, then is going to internalize hierarchy. And the way I was doing this with my nieces this evening, I don't have anything to show it, but the way that we do hierarchy is, okay, you have somebody on the bottom. It's my hot sauce from the fish. All right. Then you have somebody on top of that. Then you have something on top of this. Okay. And it keeps going, so that all of the weight of the whole thing is on the thing that's on the bottom. It's the thing on the bottom, the thing in the middle that validates you being at the top. You can only validate your superiority, validate your supremacy when you have people beneath you that you rule over. Without people to rule over and a hierarchy, nothing validates what you believe about yourself. Nothing. Your belief system don't even validate it. The hierarchy does. And so when what patriarchy does is it internalizes hierarchy, that the cosmos is built on this rather than the cosmos being circular, secular, cycles, movement. Okay? It says that everything is linear. Something on the bottom, something in the middle, something on the top. Lower class, middle class, upper class, poor class, working poor, rich. All right? Our whole society and everything is intertwined in this patriarchal view of God. People, especially women, learn to associate power, logic, knowledge, leadership, violence with masculinity, while emotion, nurture, intuition are seen as inferior, are seen as soft, are seen as weak. The outcome of this, again, is gendered self alienation. Women and feminine identified people, whoever they are, often suppress assertiveness. And if you're a black woman, you are punished because you have that trope or that stereotype of being too ambitious, being too assertive, you too independent. The things that are actually our positive characteristics are weaponized and demonized. And so we will suppress our assertiveness. We will suppress our godness. We will suppress our genius. We will suppress our ambition, our drive, our genius, while men repress or push down or banish into the unconsciousness
Banish to
vulnerability.
the unconsciousness.
Yeah, banish. That's what repression is in
Mhm.
psychology. You banish it into the unconscious where you don't even know that it's there. So they will repress tenderness. They will repress intuition. They will repress vulnerability. They will repress responding to love. They repress it because then they got to turn it around and control it. Lord have mercy. Both access, both of us then lose access to wholeness. From this comes shame, guilt, internalized inferiority, where the female body and the feminine traits are subtly or overtly, now it ain't even over, now it's just wide open. It's wide open, are overtly portrayed as sources of sin. So the woman's body is the man's weakness. The woman's genius is the man's weakness from Genesis all the way to doggone maps. It is the woman that is the problem with the man. It doesn't even make good sense because if a woman can do all of that to the weakness of a man, then the woman could not possibly be the weaker vessel. So it's already a little glitch in your anthropology and your theology. All right. So then we are portrayed as seductresses, seducers. We are the reason for disorder. We are Jezebelic if we exert authority.
Jezebelic.
Oh, yes, sir. This creates deep psychological and emotional fragmentation and generational self hatred. Then it produces, on the other hand, toxic, the new word, the new trope, toxic masculinity, where men are taught that God's image is solely male. So therefore, they equate control, running it, being in charge, uh, 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 throwing their weight around, throwing their penis around. They equate all of that with virtue, and they equate compassion with weakness and empathy as a weakness, and it leads to emotional illiteracy. We call it emotional intelligence. I'm saying that it leads to emotional illiteracy, relational dysfunction. Here it is, Dr. Brown, and violence. Okay?
You decide you describe the science of the
Okay.
demon.
Okay. All
See,
right.
I use only two words: narcissistic toxicity that exists.
It does. And why wouldn't it produce? This is good. Now he done triggered me. Why wouldn't it produce a narcissism? Now you know this is my doctoral research
Hey, I have
and
to go.
my thesis research. As I
Oh,
looked at my thesis level, I looked at seminarians at the Presbyterian School of Theology here. At the time, we had Baptist Theological Seminary here, housed on that campus, and in the Black Seminary, Virginia Union. And I looked at the narcissism between white seminarians and Black seminarians.
there it
I
is.
looked at authoritarianism with white seminarians, Black seminarians. And by and large, white seminarians were more narcissistic than Black seminarians. And the longer Black seminarians stayed in school, the more narcissistic they became.
Wow.
And there was almost an equality, almost. White still a little bit more authoritarian. Why would we become authoritarian? Not because that's the way we were raised necessarily, not because that is our culture. We became authoritarian because all authority is in the maleness. And so if God is the center of me, and God is a male, and I am a male, then the God male in me means I got to be respected. I got to be honored. I can't be questioned.
Oh,
I got
oh,
to be, yes, I got to have my will and my way. So the things that we attribute to God as a male, men then embrace those as being inner characteristics that they too have made in the image and likeness of God. But our Dr. Brown has told us that these people have made them a God in their image and after their likeness, and that is the God that we bow to. Melanated people, more melanated people all over the world have bowed now to an image of a white male, has bowed to an image of this God man who is European and soft. All the
and
colored
so
folks of the world have to bow to an image of this patriarchal God. That means that we have this unhealthy narcissism that is actually attached to our theology. That makes it hard. Narcissism hard to cure anyway, but that makes it difficult to treat us because at the root of it, it is intertwined with a male God that looks like the male. So it is bad for them. It is bad for us. It makes them think that they are more than God has made them and that we are less than. And it makes us angry and feeling trapped that we know intuitively that all life giving comes from the female. All things that come here from the invisible into the visible, from darkness into the light, comes through the womb of the female. We know it intuitively, but it has been suppressed and it has been held down. And so many women are miserable. Many women maybe sometimes even abuse their masculine, divine masculine, to be heard, to be seen. This is why our women look like they look. They are screaming to be seen. They are screaming to be noticed. They believe the tropes that our sexuality, our body will get us seen. All of this, Mother Harriet, all of this is rooted in a patriarchal understanding of God that completely excludes the feminine. But how could God exclude the feminine when he precisely or she precisely includes the feminine to get every creature here, in every species, in every phylum. It just is. That is the order of the cosmos. And until we return to this, we are going to remain sick. What comes from this, gentlemen, and to our listeners, is also systemic institutional injustice. When God is imagined as a male, men become the presumed intermediaries between the human and the divine. Ain't that what we made Jesus? A human or a spiritual, whichever one y'all take, intermediary between humanity and divine, which means they controlling everything. They control heaven, they control earth. They come back and say, God say, and there has to be because you said so. They come back and say, this is the doctrine. We're going to vote on this, and it's going to be this, and then we're going to put this in the empire, and we're going to use this, and it was so. Here's the reason why you got all kind of crazy doctrine that came out of all of these councils of Constantinople, councils of Nicaea. All of them councils is because it was decidedly male. So there is no wisdom in it. There is no balance in it. There is no blending in it. And so what this produces is injustice. This has historically justified slavery, sex trafficking, colonization, racialized patriarchy by claiming a divine sanction for domination. In fact, we even misinterpreted them words, them English words that we put in the Bible, and he gave them dominion. It is the language of patriarchy. He didn't give them dominion. He gave them stewardship and management. That's very different. And so then we start trying to dominate each other. The disadvantage, humongous. Generations of the suppression of the divine voice, the divine feminine voice, or Dr. Brown calls it that divine feminine energy. It has a different kind of frequency, a different kind of energy. It has different kind of pitch and volume and intonation. It vibrates at another level for blending, for it doesn't compete. It completes. It
Ah,
doesn't go at each other. It
it doesn't
cooperates.
compete,
It
but it completes.
collaborates. Yes, sir. It completes. It is that blending. So when you suppress that feminine voice and that energy, patriarchal religion, listen to me. Patriarchy silences the true prophetic, so that what you get out of the true prophetic in the patriarchal realm is at a level of prediction. It's at a level of knowledge. It is not at the level of going into the heavens and understanding the heavens, understanding the galaxies, the stars that we are at one with. It doesn't incorporate that. It doesn't come back with the mind of God. It comes back. Even if we get something from God, we're going to put it back in this evangelical Western patriarchal religion. And the moment we do that, we have contaminated God. And so the prophetic realm, it silences that because it tells you what to believe. It tells you God can't go outside of his word. God can't go outside of these books that y'all voted on 300 and something. God can't go outside of this Greek slash Latin slash English. God can't go outside of the stuff that wasn't in older texts, but now it shows up in newer texts like Trinitarian doctrine that won't in the older text. God can't go outside of his word. And if anything God says outside of these books, it's not God. Listen, because what was God saying before there was a book? What was God saying before there was a Torah? What was God saying before there was a Quran? What was God saying before there was a New Testament? What was God saying before there was Ma'at? What was God saying in the beginning? Let there be. There was no text. There were no humans. There were no people. So when we tell you can't go outside of God's word, it is a means to use patriarchy to control you, so it shuts down the prophetic. It silences and mutes the intuitive and communal forms of wisdom historically associated with women and, Dr. Brown, indigenous cultures across the globe. It severs humanity from the collective. It severs humanity from the relational. It severs humanity from the spiritual and leaves us with an earth based, animalistic, low dimension of consciousness. That's what happens when God is a dude.
You're watching the doctors are in.
No, you're not watching, you're listening.
You know that's our thing, Dr. Brown.
Look,
See, Reginald, they can Reginald say, we listening, Chief. We listening. We
yeah,
listening.
we're
You're
listening.
We listening.
listening.
Thank you, Reginald, for your service too. All right?
You're
See,
listening.
we have not looked at. We have not looked at Elder Harriet. We have not looked at the effects of a one-dimensional God because we thought that's all there was. We thought and we were taught that's all there is. So with this, you got a half a God. You got a half a history. And that's whitewash. You got a half a gospel. You got a half a kingdom, which means no kingdom at all. When the feminine aspect of the divine, which would include wisdom, nurture, creativity, receptivity, the prophetic, justice, righteousness, when all of that removes, what remains, men of God, is an unbalanced theology of authority without empathy, without order, without harmony, and without I need a word here. I'm gonna go back to the blending without blendingness, without completion. Okay, and we end up with a gospel without justice at all.
Some,
Christianity is not about justice at all. If you say it began at the cross, it ain't about justice at all. It has not given no justice to my people at all. It has not been kind to the women who keep birthing out movements and birthing out abundance and nurturance. It hasn't been kind to women at all. As much as we try to blend with our tongues and the Holy Ghost, with white folks, even at Azusa, it hasn't been kind to us at all. So our Christianity does not believe in divine justice, although Yeshua taught it, although the prophets taught it, because we have removed that aspect of God from the picture. In fact, we got a lovely male trinity. Okay, tell me how that reproduced. It has also distorted our worship. Yeah, it has distorted our worship. Instead of common union, I'm not talking about no Eucharist that these Romans came up with. I'm not talking about the Lord's table that they came up with. The Lord's table is the real ones that he was flipping. How about that? All right. But instead of common union, communion, and the law of reciprocity, religion becomes obedience and hierarchy and blind faith. This fractures the human spirit, replacing intimacy with the divine breath, intimacy with the creation, with the elements of nature, intimacy with the self, intimacy with one another. It fractures and replaces intimacy with performance and belongingness with fear. It's the loss of sacred reciprocity. Indigenous and ancient African cosmologists saw the universe as completely relational. Every part scientifically to the smallest nth degree, the numbers that keep the universe moving in tandem one with another. We saw the multiverses as relational, a living web of things interacting with one another, each functioning and supplying one another. Paul almost got that right. Patriarchy displaces this with a linear reverence, with linear domination, with linear obedience, with somebody on the bottom and somebody getting off on the top. Yeah, I said what I said. All right. And it severed humanity's reverence for nature, Mother Nature, Mother Africa, Mother Earth, Mother anything. It severed that and even severed our relationship with Mother Earth because we no longer see these things as expressions of the invisible God. Ecologically, it's thrown us off. Listen, I'm gonna let you come on. Every nation that suppresses women eventually loses its power, its economic status, and its inherent richness. America now is at the top of that list with everything disintegrating. You can tell how much maleness is ruling by the lack of empathy for people that can't pay their bills, get their medicine, or eat in the name of Jesus. And so there are ecological and cosmic and global consequences. The earth been feminized ever since we know we call it Mother Earth. We ain't never called it Daddy Earth because it ain't got no womb. But as it becomes the object to extract from rather than a living system to honor. Industrial, economic, and colonial systems reflect the same theology as mastery, and it is Eurocentrism at its finest. Look it up. Mastery over nature, mastery over Africa, mastery over the earth, mastery over black people, mastery over women. It is mastery over the lesser or who's at the bottom, validating that you're at the top. Environmental collapse is not only scientific, Dr. Brown, it is spiritual rebellion against the divine feminine principle of balance, sustainability, and nurture. And so it's the results are everywhere in every part of society, in every part of the human. It is an existential split, an existential crisis, because we have said only a male God exists. Go ahead, Dr. Brown.
What was God saying before there was a book? And I just want to give that answer. He was saying, when you came here and you started breathing, he said, I love you. His breath was, I love you. He inhaled and exhaled, and you took it in. There was no words other than the vibrations and the breath of, I love you. I love you. And each night, and I won't go there with you, each night when you go into a beautiful sleep, you don't know whether you're male or female if you have a deep sleep.
Wow.
You are in harmony and having an intimate love affair
My.
with your God. Now, if you play with it the way I do, I can get some nightmares and I can get some, I won't talk about that. I can get some, I know where I'm going when I do that. But I'm just saying to you who are asking the question, when God breathes into you and you're in sleep, and if you can ever learn how to connect at that higher consciousness, you can have an intimate affair. And it's a vibration, it's an inspiration. That language cannot be shared with others. It's something private and personal unto you. And with that energy, you're able to give it to others, not in words, but in your actions and your activities. And there was a song the Fifth Dimension started singing years ago, and I started saying, "This is the age and the dawning
Of
of who?
Aquarius.
Aquarius." You were just listening to the prophets of Aquarius when you're listening to my sister, because she's kicking y'all's behind of where the feminine energy has begun. It has begun, and it's going to do what it's going to do. And I just lied. I just enjoy the ride.
You know, it's interesting that even Jesus, uh, as a sage, identified this problem and tried to redirect his apostles to think differently on how to relate. There was
Well,
a story.
he had 18 years of learning how to do that. We call it
Yeah,
the lost years, the missing years. And when Brother Man came in those last 3 years, he already knew what his destiny was. He knew he was going to be taken out, just like many of leaders have been taken out. I mean, we give so much drama to a spiritual being who does his part and moves on. There are, I don't even want to go into that discussion because the bishop has laid out where we are, and the energy of the feminine is it's about time. It's about time, and that's going to be. And what the one word she doesn't use, but she'll use it: fear. Fear is a powerful thing.
Absolutely.
Fear is powerful. Fear is a mamma jamma.
It's a bad mama
Mamma
jam.
jamma, fear is. You know, and that's true. You know, I mean, fear is it have you believing and have you doing things that don't that you. I mean, it's just it's fear is violence. It's violence in the form of emotion. It's
That's
a
why I say
violent
we.
emotion.
That's why I say we fear to love, and guess what? We love to fear.
Yeah,
Yeah, when the power of love overcomes the love of power,
Yes,
the
sir.
world will know peace.
yeah.
Who said that?
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi
Jimi
Hendrix.
Hendrix. Yeah, Jimi
It just
Hendrix.
took me a minute to come with it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Talking about I'm hooping. Y'all funny.
Yeah.
Uh, so, gentlemen, how do can we use? Here is the catch 22. Can we use divine feminine principles to get us back? Because when only half the image of God is honored, humanity itself remains half evolved. I was telling my nieces today, they called us 3/5 of a human. They almost have produced that because most of our brain, for some of us, 70, 80, 90% of our brain is not used for what it's supposed to use. It's just not used. It doesn't have a need because we've been taught and trained not to inquire, not to have divine inquiry. Is to keep a static, caged relationship with the divine. So if we only got half the image of God that's honored, humanity itself remains half evolved. We really may be 3/5 because we are not ascending into our divinity. We're not ascending in consciousness. We are not developing and maturing in our Christ consciousness. Okay, and so since the suppression of the divine feminine weakens empathy, cooperation, completeness, blending, emotional intelligence, qualities that are essential for collective survival, won't we have to use the divine feminine to take us back to balance?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the thing is that when we think about the word or the term or the image Sancofa, that bird had an egg in its mouth. So it depicted it was a feminine energy. The Sankofa is the description of a feminine energy. And so we've been only operating, or should I say within the confines of Christianity, we've only been gravitating and gravitating toward the masculine energy. And that's what's become a problem. We have not gravitated toward the feminine energy, which will bring about balance, where the masculine know how to blend with the feminine, and the feminine will know how to blend with the masculine. So that's about getting back to the place where we ought to be. One of the things that I was going to say earlier is that Jesus tried to redirect his apostles away from perpetuating this male dominance. And that was when one wanted to sit on, one wanted to sit on, one of the sons to sit on the one side and the other one sit on the other side. And because their request, well, when you come into your king, I want to sit on that side. I want to sit, they want to be elevated. They want to be above all. They want to be, looked up to. And the other 10, hearing their request, became enraged. And then Jesus addressed their rage and their request. And he said, the Gentiles enjoy lording over others. He was trying to protect the movement. He was trying to protect the movement from becoming gentilic. They enjoy lording over. But he turned to his apostles and said, it shall not be so among you.
I think a strategy that is before everyone listening is what the bishop mentioned a few weeks ago about there needs to be retreats, getting away from your normal experiences of day to day, whatever you all do, and getting together and learning how to be still, to be silent, and to sit in an environment where there is nothing but Mother Earth, and as folk used to say, Father Time, whatever way you want to play with the words. Mm-hmm. But there needs to be a focus on what I feel is learn how to meditate, how to breathe, and how to listen from within. I think you all have indicated many times, where is the kingdom? The kingdom is within you. That, in my opinion, really has to be taught how to connect within your divineness with God. How to connect within. We're good in our various ministries giving you visible symbols, but what about the symbol that is within you? You have to have a heartbeat, and you sure enough have to have breath. If you learn how to work that energy, how to inhale, exhale, how to be still, and how to give God time to talk to you and get rid of the monkey mind that's in you when you do try
monkey mind.
I've been dealing with a monkey mind for 60 years. I just eliminated some of the monkeys, but the monkeys are still there. I can kind of catch them before they get there. But I'm just being that ridiculous. Right. But I'm talking about the fact of teaching. And really, really how to teach our people how to pray. I'm not satisfied the way I was taught how to pray by the white man.
Oh, he said it. And that's interesting, Dr. Brown, that you
And
mentioned
I
that.
won't take that no further.
Well, that's okay.
I don't know why
you
you
know
won't.
that you know.
Well, you know why I
you know,
won't.
don't pump the brakes. Don't pump the brakes. Just
Don't
keep
pump the
driving.
brakes.
Don't pump the brakes. Well, the truth is in the language, because the word pray and meditate in Aramaic is the same thing. So to pray in Aramaic is the same thing as meditate in Aramaic. So there's no division between meditation and prayer. It's one. But
Well,
we've been taught to divide them.
you're
No,
doing a good
or
job
to
of
catch
explaining it.
God.
I wouldn't have never
capture
explained
God.
it that way.
Yeah. One of those Aramaic words for prayer is to capture or to catch God.
To catch God.
Yeah. So I'm praying to come into this. Is what I've been doing, teaching on sin for the last couple of weeks. Sin not being I smoke, I drink, I cuss. Sin being I miss the mark because I'm misaligned. And so
Misaligned.
misaligned. Most of us are out of alignment, which means we are in a state of sin. Not we are some born sinners and all of this stuff that other folks feel about themselves because of their history. Okay, because their tyrannical, violent history, they see themselves as worms. Write your anthropology. That's not my anthropology. All right, but this whole concept here, this whole concept of us catching God, of using our time of prayer or breathing or meditating to come back into alignment with our source that is both our divinity and our humanity lined up just like this. Until we are fully human and fully divine, until we are fully masculine and fully feminine, we are existing at a low level of consciousness, and our divinity, unfortunately, is trapped in our one-dimensional
That's good.
humanity.
Dr. Brown.
Yeah. Well,
That's good.
maybe
That's good, Bishop.
if the bishop and you agree, we give some lessons on how to do everything we just said in the past 3 or 4 minutes to scholars. See, we can be very much scholars in scholarship, but what about just the practical things of being still, breathing techniques, slowing down? People say time is moving fast. It's not, time ain't moving. It's us moving fast.
How about that?
Say
Wow.
what?
That part. We're moving fast. Time ain't.
Well, you
My
know, time
God.
got to be fast and powerful, because Father Time is a male.
See, that, I like it. No, but hey, that's the name of the game. If you look, if you take a time and step outside your house and look out to the cosmos, it ain't moving. You're in the space, and the globe you on is moving, and you pick up your pace on the globe of the planet. But it's interesting teaching our people how to come within
Mm-hmm.
and cooperate within, not cooperate externally, because we can't. There's too many symbols to make us compete. But if you and I go in with breath,
Wow.
oh, your breath can't touch my breath, and my breath won't touch hers. But at the same time, we're getting it from the same creator. That whole dynamic's a whole nother teaching experience. And it's not done in our churches. When I threw out the word prayer, you all took it on to give definition. That's about a 5-week presentation on prayer, how it works and how you have to work with it.
Wow. Well, you're giving us some food for thought there. Maybe that is where we need to begin
Well, you got scholars listening.
next week.
Everybody's well booked to learn.
Yeah, you're right
What
about that.
about Okay.
We're booked up.
Well,
We're
whatever.
booked.
I'm not booked up, y'all.
Uh, uh,
I am not booked up.
well,
I'm
I'll
not
just say we need to
because
get breath up.
because the more I learn, the dumber I get. So I'm not.
Okay, that's a
Yeah,
well-known statement. The more I turn to know, the more I know I don't know.
yeah. So whether it comes, whether ah, here it is. Whether the knowledge, the revelation, the insight comes from those who have documented before us, whether it comes out of the rubble, Dr. Gardner, of historical things that have been buried and hidden and erased and whitewashed, whether it comes from the movement of the ocean when I stand in it or stand in front of it, whether it comes when the breeze just blankets me like that and I feel the presence of God, whether it comes from my brothers, however God expresses God's self, we want to be positioned to receive and to learn.
Well, teach those different positions. You just described some phenomenal ones, and they all were about where you place yourself. Many of us wake up in the morning at 6. Place yourself to hear. Many of us may not go to bed till 12. Make sure at that 12 o'clock you can prepare your next 5 hours of a conversation with God in a consciousness that you can never imagine.
Somebody just throwed it up there and said, "Sounds like Dr. Brown needs to teach this workshop." Hey, the audience said, "Sound like you need to teach this workshop."
I got one. I got. We can do that. I got one that I. How did that come up? I know how it came up. I got to do that tomorrow. And it's about how to handle your life in grieving. You know what I do, Steve.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're at our time. Uh,
Did you say thank you, Dr. Brown? Hey, thank God we are to. Oh, Lord. All right. How do you want to do this? um,
I think there's some oil on prayer and the different modes of you know going within. We got to unify prayer and breath and meditation.
And see, you've got leaders that listen. They can pass it on too. I'm just looking at an approach of what I'm experiencing. That you all got leaders, dynamic personalities, well informed, how they can pass it on to their congregation or
All
or
right.
those who they are interacting with.
see that? You busted, Dr. Brown.
Say what?
Kemp busted you.
What?
Yeah, he said that you're the one that got to teach the.
Hey, you see that?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
He just said it, Laffer. He tried to give it over to y'all.
He
You
tried to
busted,
get
sir.
over to y'all. Whoever you are, you ain't lying.
Absolutely. So we can go into that, and then we did not.
No, we
Uh,
did not.
we did not really get into. We just glossed over it. The way back. Um, Now we're going to just leave that and go to the other thing,
Well,
or we're going to
it does.
use the way back.
Let's get
Uh,
past Thanksgiving time, then I'll be ready.
Okay,
Okay,
so let's
okay.
do this because we're going to take Thanksgiving week off.
Okay.
Amen. Praise the
Amen.
Lord. Praise the Lord. All right, we'll take Thanksgiving week off. Dr. Gardner will be gone and whatever. Some of you will be traveling and blah blah, or not. But we're gonna take it off anyway. All right. So why don't we do this? We're on next week, right?
We're on next week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So why don't we do this? We're on next week. Why don't we go ahead and begin? with the way back, because we can't use the same tools to get us realigned that were used to misalign us. We can't use the same anthropology and theology. We can't even use the same Christology. Can't use the same soteriology, salvation, the same hamartiology. We can't sin. That's why I'm teaching on sin from a Hebraic and ancient African lens, and an Aramaic lens. Um, so we know we can't get back on track on the same path that took us away from God.
Mm-mm.
I'm going to say our path has not taken us to God, but it's taken us away from God.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we're saying, take me back. We're in the where we started. Take a woman to do that. Take for a circle. See
You're
that
right.
circle. Uh, so we're saying for God to take us back, these are the means through divine feminine energy and expression. We'll look more into Sancofa, not as some kind of African voodoo hoodoo. We'll look more into wisdom,
Sophia.
Sophia in the Greek, Chokmah in the Hebrew, but we'll look at them as divine feminines as they are portrayed, um, even though it's in a pantheon of gods. And we'll go back and look at the Genesis account um, of the spirit moving upon the face of the deep. And we'll look at some more African and other indigenous cosmologies that saw the spirit in the divine feminine as well.
So there's your Native American and your Incas and your Peruvian, all of those.
Well,
Yeah.
all Native Americans are not Indians, so please, we were already here. Amen. But indigenous means whatever country that they're from,
Right.
not just here.
Right.
So as we look at these other cultures other than here, of the people in that land, not the the modern stuff, but kind of look more to antiquity and to some of these other cultures that even Dr. Brown, the Indians got they real different. Even the ones in Africa, they're real different. They're not like Indians here. That's something else.
No, that's not.
So when we say indigenous cultures, plural, how they looked at the divine feminine, and to say perhaps if we go the way of wisdom, the way of return,
Mm-hmm.
and the way of the spirit, we'll get back to that place in God where we are blending and where we are not competing
Mm-hmm.
and not dominating. We are collaborating. We are cooperating. We are
Mm-hmm.
completing.
Mm-hmm.
So we can do that. So it gives Dr. Brown time to do what he's going to do, and us to do what we're going to do to assist him.
Oh no, you didn't.
Or
Okay.
not, we're not competing. We're
Mm,
completing.
mm-mm.
So whoever got it, roll with it, and the other support. That's nature. That's the way the birds do it. That's whoever got it in front. Them two wing birds, you see them in formation like this, right? And the bird in the front, you got your two wings. And when that bird tires or they get to a certain altitude or a certain wind, the wings come from behind and just shoot like this, and you don't even see them switch. And the formation stays in place. So whoever got it does this. When their time is up, they do this. That's the cosmos. We don't compete. We complete.
I'm not saying a word, but other than I love her. That's all I'm gonna say.
And I love him. And I love y'all. And we love y'all too. That's
All of
why
you.
we are involved in this labor of love, to get all of us back to our full divinity and our full humanity.
And may the good Lord take a liking to all of us.
You've been watching The Doctors Are In. See you next week.